Grimmett, Michelle Denon, and Ann Katz. And in 206, we have Commissioners Bureau, Strohmeyer, Slotnick.
He was just at the door, but
Okay.
He's coming.
He's coming in. Jacob Ellington, Andrew Chorney, Chris Lounsbury, Annie Cathy, Maddie Scott, Ann Hughes, Terry Powers, Allison France, and, oops, sorry, go ahead. Griffin Smith. And who just joined us?
I'm Clancy King.
Clancy King.
K-E-N-C-K.
Welcome. K-E-N-C-K, thank you.
and Andrew Hagemeyer.
And Andrew Hagemeyer.
I think Josh is going to be Josh. Yeah, I'm like.
Thank you. Public comments on items not on the agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Does anything need to be pulled out or discussed separately?
Well, number two is
number 2.
noteworthy. I
Yeah.
think that we will have a presence in Sea Lake. Chris, would you be able to speak to this, what this individual will actually be doing?
Sure. So the piece that's on there will allow us to have somebody who works both part-time for the refuse district up in Sealy Lake and manages that program, as well as works part-time for the clerk and recorder treasurer's office. So they'll be able to do vehicle license plate renewals in Sealy Lake again, which is a service they were able to offer prior to the pandemic and haven't really been able to do because we haven't been able to fill it. So as a part-time position, they'll be able to split their duties basically between that and cover both services again up in directly in Sealy, so folks won't necessarily have to travel to Missoula when they're renewing registrations, et cetera, for vehicles, as well as when they're going to refuse district.
And, okay, foundation built, Sealy Lake Foundation, is this spelled written correctly or does it matter? It's a Sealy Lake Foundation, community foundation building? What does foundation building mean?
I was gonna say, community foundations building, we're leasing a space in it for the office.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the first floor.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kyla Leonards. Or someone playing Kyla. No, I
Hi,
see you there.
Commissioners. Chet's on the line today, and I'm going to go ahead and let him speak to this item.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this, I believe, is the lease extension. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is we visited with you about this before. This would essentially be that extension to our existing lease at 127 East Main. So that's the whole second floor where our offices are located currently. The extension or the addendum would be to include one of the street front spaces that would essentially serve as our lobby, serve as some administrative staff office space, and allow us to convert the existing lobby and administrative staff space that's in our upstairs location to other offices. So increasing capacity for our upstairs office spaces, as well as improving the accessibility by having a main, front street sort of access for the public. So this is added into our existing lease. It would be an ongoing expense for us, essentially at about the same price per square foot. It'd be $25 per square foot lease cost for that ongoing, along with a CAM that's associated, and that would have a 3% increase from year to year. I believe the total amount annually is around $60,000. I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me, but that would be the cost moving forward in addition to our existing lease cost.
Thank you.
Do you think with this new add-on, they'd let us put our names on the door?
Yeah, it will. So it'll look much more like
As opposed to the sandwich board? What
No, there's the sandwich board, but then when you walk up to the door, it says Parson, Bailey, Latimer, what I can't remember that. The new regional law firm. That's on the door. Not that it's a problem, but if a person just walked up and missed the large sandwich board, they would wonder. It'd be great to have Missoula County on the door as well.
The door of the first floor office.
The entrance to the building.
Up where you go up the stairs?
No, the entrance,
The street level.
the street level entrance.
But that's a different
Yeah.
entrance than what we're talking about, right?
Well, wouldn't you be walking into that to go to the new
No.
first floor
No.
offices?
No, it's
No,
like,
the first floor office is like where the gallery used to be,
Okay.
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a totally separate door, right,
Yep.
Chad?
Yeah, no, this would be, and yes, Josh, to that being one of the advantages. So this would be the retail space that if you are looking at our normal door that you'd walk to go to our existing office, it's the first one there to the left, the first retail
Oh.
space. And once, correct,
Okay.
it was a gallery previously. So we would have the logo, and you'd have the same hanging sign that the existing retail spaces have, all of those same features. And so it'll be much more publicly kind of accessible
Great.
and signed, et cetera. So yeah, hopefully it'll address that issue you have.
That looked like
We would
a
ideally have that be the entry point for the public. And then, if there was folks that were needing to meet with staff upstairs, we could certainly direct them that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Kayla has her hand up.
Oh. Kyla.
Yeah, hi commissioners. I just wanted to make note that we did work with the owners of the building and we have a 6-month abated rent. So we wouldn't actually start paying rent on this new space until March of 2026.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Kyla. Yeah. And the other thing to add to that as well is we have some tenant improvements that will be included in that rent amount. So that will help us convert the existing space into a space that's conducive for the needs that we have in our office. So just some minor modifications, but those will be covered within the cost of the lease.
Okay. Any other questions for Chet or Kyla?
No, I would we do this?
Second.
Any further discussion, public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I really like having that first floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patty Scott, the last two.
So the first one is for a bylaw change for the Missoula Aging Services. They would like to remove a committee. Right now they have 4. It would go down to 3 with the removal of the 406 Financial Services. But the 3 remaining would be the Executive, Finance, and the Board of Governance.
Gosh, I thought they had already done that.
They voted on it. It just hasn't
Oh,
come
okay.
here for final yet.
We approve this.
Any further discussion or public comment? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
The next one is going to be appointing board members to Missoula Aging Services. There was 8 applicants. There's 5 positions. Well, technically 7, but 2 of the board members would like to be reappointed. That was Gail Hudgens and Greg Oliver. They are both eligible and submitted letters of interest to continue serving. Other than that, we have 2 partial terms through June 30th, 2026, 1 partial term through June 30th, 2027, and 2 new 3-year terms through June 30th, 2028. The board's recommendation was John O'Connor. Dang it. Dr. Melody Cunningham, Margaret Parson, Dory Gillel, sorry, and Marion Laporte were their recommendations.
Move that we do all of that.
Second.
Such strong candidates.
So many.
Yeah, a lot of physical therapists, a lot of doctors, a lot of,
This is
lot.
perfect. Yeah,
Impressive people.
very impressive, yeah. Sorry, you seconded? Any further discussion, public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm really happy for them.
Yeah.
Okay, correspondence out, sorry, Jason.
Jason is going to join.
Yes. Oh.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, so commissioners,
Sorry.
no worries. Yeah, this is a letter to MDT regarding the intersection just south of the proposed town pump in Frenchtown. There's several concerns with this intersection. There's also been a lot of public comment around this intersection in hopes that the town pump will do something to kind of mitigate the congestion at this intersection. Again, this isn't county right away. This is actually state right away. So MDT is in charge of the intersection, but they have also said that they'd be willing to take public comment and comment from the commissioners regarding any kind of mitigation that would need to be done here. So I drafted a letter just stating the concerns with this intersection, and I hope the commissioners will be willing to sign it. We could send it to MDT.
Great, I like the bulleted,
I was-
clear bulleted points. Well done.
Thanks.
And we provide a copy to both West Valley Community Council and also the school district.
Sign it, I just read.
Glad to do that. Yes.
Thank you, district.
And when you say school, I mean, is that the high school and the elementary school or how?
Whoever
It's
requested.
a, it's a combined school
Okay.
district out there. So if we send it to the superintendent of schools for the board, it's a combined board.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for working on this, Jason.
Of
And
course. Thank you.
Allison or whoever.
Oh, yeah, I guess we don't have to do it. That's just correspondence. Sorry, thank you. Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah, so commissioners will continue on with your process around budget enhancements. So we'll finish up with hopefully one-time requests today and then move to ongoing. Just as a reminder of where we were, we are on the back page, the one-time requests, and we had Andrew Hegemeyer do his 3 there towards the end. So we are at weed and grant, and then the wellness and workers comp, and then there's one still on the front page that I'm covering for Erica today while she's in labor negotiations with the deputy sheriff. So the one that says one time, 1X.
I don't have
Oh, that's
It's a middle.
Middle of this.
thank you. Okay.
Now we're on the back page. And then we're at the very near the bottom. The first one is the weed grant program, 2840. That's where we're starting.
Thank
So
you.
it's about 3/4 of the way.
Yes, okay. I
Yep. So when Commissioner Slotnick gets back, we can.
right here, 5 alleys.
Yep. So commissioners, this is a grant program that the weed department has applied for that they're looking to get into next year's budget. Looks like it's about 1.3 million. I'm not sure if Bryce is on. If anybody from that side is on and has anything that they wanted to share.
I am on, actually.
Hey, Bryce.
How's it going? Yeah, so this is a grant that we've actually been awarded through Fish, Wildlife and Parks and FWP. So we know that we have 1.3, a little over 1.3 million to help 18 different land managers within the Missoula Valley and surrounding area around the city of Missoula to do invasive species management work and revegetation for desirable plant communities.
So my recommendation would be that you accept the grant.
Yes, I think that would be wise.
Okay,
Yes.
so we will consider that one tentatively approved until you adopt your final budget. The next two are out of the wellness and workers' comp budgets respectively, so they don't have an impact to the other funds. So the first is the first responder app. So this is providing some additional resources for folks in the sheriff's department, county attorney's office, detention center, and 911 center around mental health and wellness. It's an app specifically designed for folks who work in the first responder field to give them additional resources for that. It is a $60,000 cost, but can be absorbed by the wellness program's budget.
See that 0 in there, that's wonderful.
And they've been using this app for a couple, they have experience with this app, right?
Nope, this is the first time we are using this app. So we have a different EAP program or employee assistance program that's used by the rest of the county. And this actually is a
But this
separate
one's
program
specific.
specifically,
Yeah, yeah.
specifically for first responders.
We should, of course, do this.
And then the second one is coming out of the Workers' Comp Fund, which is a request to remodel the front lobby of the Risk and Benefits building space that they're currently using, which is the old Blue Star building. For folks who aren't familiar with that, it's just to remodel that lobby to be more similar to the lobby of this building, where you come in and there's a receptionist who greets you and then can let you back into that. Of course, in addition to Workers' Comp being housed in there, our employee benefits program is housed in there, which contains a number of records which are covered by HIPAA, as well as our human resource staffs is located in that building as well.
There's a reception desk right when you walk in.
There is, but there's no door. So you can literally, if there's nobody at the reception
you
desk, which
just
is not manned, you can
continue back.
continue back into where there is private healthcare information.
A security
Yeah,
door.
so
Okay,
this basically would be similar to the lobby here, where there would just be a door
Sorry,
next
yeah.
to that reception area.
thank you.
Yeah, and again, that's coming out of the Workers' Comp program, which I defer to Andrew, but usually has sufficient funding.
Fortunately, that's not a very wide, right?
Thanks.
This
It is
Should
not.
not be a super expensive. Sorry, did I cut you off? What?
No, you just said plenty of mine.
Okay.
The Workers' Comp Fund does.
Okay.
Then the last one is actually over on the first page that we deferred for Erica, but she is again tied up in negotiations here, so I'm going to cover that. This was a request to the general fund. It's number 6056. About halfway down, it says flexible benefits plan in the fund name.
Right. Not caught up.
6056.
Yep, 6056.
It's,
Oh, thank you. It was buried in the 1000s. Okay.
So it's in the one time, you're looking at the ongoing?
probably got it.
That should be, yeah. So this was a request to begin a program this year that would be an employer-funded contribution towards flexible benefits. This specifically would be at the employee's discretion which category gets used. And currently we offer 2 flexible benefits. Starting in fiscal year 26, we will offer 3. So right now, employees can contribute to flexible benefits for medical expenses, flexible benefit for dependent care. This one would add the ability to include parking, which is an expansion that is now allowed under the federal government, where you can actually have flexible benefit accounts that help to offset parking. This was a request for the county to consider contributing based on a sliding scale based on employees' earnings, money to help offset the cost of parking downtown.
I didn't realize how physically and mentally traumatic the parking situation was for employees until we heard about it from court staff. And so glad we can do this.
And this
We can-
is
we can-
cash.
We cannot do
yeah,
it, But wait, sorry, what can we do or what can we not do?
So yeah, so you'll recall that you've hit your spending cap for
Okay.
the one-time general fund money of about $500,000, and this is a request for $70,000. So that would put you over what you have available for funding for this year. So
So this would be a
We
denial.
cannot
this
do
year.
this.
yes,
They will continue to be upset.
challenging parking downtown.
Park in front of my house and walk, folks. So,
Yeah. Well, you'll have some choices when we get to this page.
I got so excited and I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't know if the gentleman who's joining us was here for public comment on ongoing or one time, but that's the end of the one time list.
Oh, Clancy.
To take public
Sorry, Clancy,
one
did
time
you?
requests.
Yes, I'm the gentleman you dealt with last week, Clancy Kank, and I paid several taxes on June 2nd. And the post office did not stamp it on that Monday. And so when they did get it, it was stamped the next day. And so I was levied a penalty for all those properties. I didn't realize it till I think the 15th, when I got a letter from you folks. And so I went down on the 16th and I explained that I had a couple witnesses because we were going to lunch. I put the checks in the mail at 11:30 a.m. And for some reason, the Kent post office did not process it, which is kind of.
it's a frequent problem we've discovered.
Oh, and
actually.
I was like,
Good.
Tyler is here.
The expert is
Wait.
online.
Yeah, so Clancy, and I apologize, the letter hasn't gone out yet, but that request was already approved last week, so you should be getting a letter with your refund relatively soon.
I just wanted to make a couple comments as a citizen.
Okay.
With the ongoing difficulty with the US Post Office and them being understaffed and somewhat overworked, then I think you should adapt here in the county a flexibility of 1 day, because there's a lot of money expended to go through all those, figure out the penalty, and send out letters. And then on this, my behalf, I had to make 2 trips down there, first to pay the penalty and then to come back later and I guess adjudicated. And she explained it. I wasn't the only one. They got several. So I think that maybe they should have the flexibility in the courthouse, and when they see them getting 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, that something's wrong. And I don't know how many, do you know how many were received late?
There were quite a few, and there is an existing policy. Your taxes were just the amount of the penalty and interest exceeded the amount of the policy. So that's why yours had to go in front of the commissioners, but otherwise, the vast majority we were able to handle because they were under the $250 cap.
Glad to know I'm a high taxpayer and helps.
You are.
I appreciate the attention, but I'm just saying that, I mean, the policy, when you get 1 day late, you can maybe assume that the post office is having problems, and that saves everybody a lot of work by just passing it through. I said there should be some, it should be like a necktie, it should be comfortable, knowing that other people are gonna make mistakes, other agencies are gonna make mistakes. And so it shouldn't be incumbent upon you guys to have to go through that extra expense, the extra mailing, and then the citizens to have to come back in. That's my suggestion.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get started on ongoing. Just as a reminder for the commissioners and for folks who might listen to this later, as well as staff online. So the general fund and public safety budget continue to be using one-time cash for ongoing expenses. So when you look at these, that is something to keep in mind as you're doing this. And of course, whenever you approve an ongoing request, that is an ongoing tax increase that will be added into the budget for those. These are all ones that you had presentations from the departments on, so I don't believe there's any new ones on here related to that. And so we will start, they're basically in fund order. So we'll start off at the general fund. All of the requests that are for the general fund, sorry, it did not end up in fund order for some reason because we have some general fund down below. So we'll start off at the top of the list here, which is facilities. And there was a request to reallocate the halftime shared position between the Board of County Commissioners and facilities to be a full-time facilities position, which would require adding a half of an FTE to facilities to fund a full-time administrative assistant in the facilities department, which would leave a halftime vacancy in the commissioner's office, assuming that Maddie, who currently splits her time between those two, wanted to move to the facilities department.
So I'm sorry, Maddie would move full-time to facilities. And
Assuming that she wanted to, yes. And then there'd be a halftime opening in the commissioner's office.
But just so I'm clear, that everything we're looking at here adds to our structural imbalance.
Or increases the tax burden, yes.
So do we? Need
I'm
to-
sorry, it's awkward. We're like talking about you.
Public service.
Public service, yeah.
For the record, Maddie, we'd love having you here and feel like you do it.
Yes.
Yes.
You do, you
Yes.
do. Very missed if you left.
Okay, so what does facilities need?
So facilities is asking, they use half of Maddie's time right now. They are requesting for a full-time admin person because a halftime
Doesn't necessarily be bad.
Right, they need a full-time person.
That is their request.
But I guess my question though is all of these are compelling arguments for these various expenditures. Do we?
We're
just from a
basically
policy
blanket,
statement
like we can't say, yeah, no.
Say no to the
to all
entire
of these.
list. I mean,
Well, so there are some that are grant funded and other things. So you're
Okay.
gonna, I mean, you're gonna have to say no as we kind of go through.
Okay.
Otherwise we would,
Okay.
we would also be turning
So
away.
we begin
revenue.
with saying no to this,
Yes, you can. Yeah.
continue.
We still love you. It's no to you, not no to you personally.
Well, Maddie still continues to be a full-time employee. It's no to Jason Hauser having a full-time admin person. It's with the.
Okay,
Win for Annie.
Poor Maddie. Sorry.
So the next request was also from facilities. There was a request to add an FTE around the projects department. So just as a reminder for folks who may not have participated in that meeting, these are the folks who coordinate all of our construction projects. We do have 2 folks who do that currently.
Do a great job.
Ethan and Sean, who do an exceptional job, given the number of projects and the federal building, the Engen building upcoming, there was a request to add an FTE to assist with the projects coordination piece.
And we can't.
I would say,
Like-
I wish we could.
Now this next one, can we use the same? Oh, you should. I'm sorry.
The cleaning one?
Yeah.
Nope, I'm happy to answer whatever. Yeah.
It looks like it's the same cost, but we're.
So it is an increase in cost. So the challenge that we face around cleaning services, so this is the request to move. Right now, we contract all of our cleaning services for all of our buildings, including the courthouse, health department, here, elections, kind of all around. We contract that work out. The challenge is because of the size of that contract, we pay prevailing wage rates for that, which isn't a bad thing, but it does create challenges for that. So the request was to move from contracting this to looking at hiring an internal cleaning service, to basically have maintenance staff take on a new role, which would be cleaning of buildings. The cost difference between the contract amount and the request is the $135,000 from that versus the exterior. That was an estimate based on not knowing the number of supplies that would be needed. And the anticipation is that that number would go down after the first year, but that is kind of the unknown. The 624 is the amount that's already currently budgeted.
Recommendations. I mean, is this,
Can't do.
will the cost of contracted services at some point here in the future kind of eclipse this increase? Are we locked into a contract amount for?
Think about all the salaries and benefits as they increase over the years too. I think that
Right.
might outstrip the contract cost.
Yeah.
Right now, what I will tell you is the projection is the contract is about $30,000 difference than the existing cost.
The contract to
Yeah.
be.
So, I mean,
More than.
no, it would cost about $30,000 more to bring it in-house than the contract, but we are that close.
It will change, it would continue to increase over.
Correct, as the prevailing wage continues to.
Oh, so
Right now, that is.
So
is
it's
correct.
best to do it contracted as it is right now.
Yeah, so you may want to defer that for
Another
into
year.
another year.
we'll
Yeah.
revisit and see. It's interesting how like with public works contracts, the contracted work costs more than doing it in-house.
That is, I think, the challenge that we're seeing around cleaning is that it is headed in that direction. The next one is the water pipe replacement at the Missoula County Detention Facility. The request here is to add 2 FTEs specifically around. So we currently have in maintenance, we have electricians on staff so that we don't have to rely on outside costs for electricians. The request here is to basically do the same thing around plumbing, to bring on staff that would be able to plumb to deal with those issues. Of course, when we talk about building remodels, that also reduces the cost for those ongoing. But right now, we do not have that in there. Right now, to finish out the plumbing work that needs to happen at the detention facility over the next roughly year is, or year and a half, to contract that out is estimated at about $500,000 for that. And so the request was, instead of the $500,000 one-time cost for the contract, to basically move to 2 FTEs. The ongoing cost, however, for that is $250,000 versus the one-time cost of $500,000.
What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, once we sync.
Jason's great. Jason.
Just for clarity, that 500,000 would be ongoing as well, Chris. That's essentially hiring or putting out a like an invitation for bid or whatever for a company to come in annually and spend a bulk amount of money on replacement. There's miles of pipe that needs to be replaced in that facility, and it's going to take much longer than a year, whether that's with in-house or with a vendor.
Thank you.
Okay, so with a vendor, it's 500,000 go on.
A year, yeah,
And then-
for several years. That's what Jason is saying.
Okay, and then if we're doing it in-house, it's 250,000.
Yes,
Just basically levying an additional mill just for this.
yes. By the time you add in supplies.
Plumbing
But-
mill.
A plumbing mill.
By the time you add in supplies, yes.
Is it possible to put things in a temporary bucket where it's neither yes nor no at this moment and then
Yes.
revisit them?
It is.
Let's do that.
Okay, guys.
Okay. Next set here is the fair. So you had presentations on these. Obviously, the first is extending the fair, which comes with some additional potential revenue from those additional days, moving from the existing fair to a 10-day fair. And then there's a request for ongoing funding towards the ongoing cost of refinishing the floor in the Marsda building, and then the other two historic buildings, and then a request to add an operations manager. I think Randy presented on the operations manager. I'm not sure if it was Randy or Billy who presented on the 10-day fair.
That's Billy.
I'm trying to figure out what the column heading is for this.
So sorry. So the first column that you're seeing here is if there's a revenue source. So the 624 in this case was how much the contract is. So that would be the offset.
Wait, that's
And then we have
cleaning
the
services.
yep. And then
sorry.
so now going down to just following it down
Oh,
for the
I'm
top one, so
sorry.
you can tell going down.
Thank you.
Yep. So the 455 is the anticipated ongoing revenue. Then you have the total revenue. That's the dark bold column. And then you have the expenses are on the other side. So ongoing personnel and then operations in two different categories. So for the fair one, you'd be looking at the potential of going from the existing fair to 10 days. They're estimating the additional revenue at $455,000 a year. That does come with some additional expenses, which are on the corresponding other side, the 383 and the 6,400. Randy. If I missed
Yeah, I'm
something. or
happy to answer
misspoke.
any questions. There is a late adjustment to the wood floor specifically. That's actually 5,000 a year to prepare for refinishing that wood floor every 4 to 5 years, not 25,000.
Okay. Thank you.
With the fair, Randy, would you have the animals there for 10 days?
Yeah, the 10-day, likely the 4-H piece would look really similarly to what we're doing now. They would start bringing their livestock and 4-H stuff in the middle of that fair week, not the weekend prior.
So just, I want to make sure I'm reading this right. What's the additional revenue we would generate from that 10-day fair?
455.
455,000.
And
And
then
the
the
additional
bowl-
expense? for
It's the 383 and the 6,400.
So there'd be a
it
net
makes a
gain.
profit.
Yes, it's a net gain.
It's a net gain.
I'm sorry, what's the title of the third column then, the 6,400 column? What's that title?
That's, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe it's personnel and then operations.
That's an increase in personnel, yes.
So I mean,
Okay.
this is a net gain.
Randy, do you actually think that we're in a position to go 10 days this next year?
It's a great question, Commissioner
I got an
We spent,
earful at the fair from on this topic, so just letting you know.
yep, and we needed that. We requested it. Billy asked all of our concessionaires and volunteer organizations to consider very seriously the potential for 10 days and what does it mean to them. It's when you think about growing from 6 to 10, it's not a linear expansion. Some things actually are cheaper and easier through economy of scale, but other things are more difficult, like staffing and infrastructure and energy. So we're still evaluating this. The proposal was to make sure we had the approval in the budget to accomplish it, but we're gonna still need to do a lot of math on what this looks like exactly and how we fill out that first big weekend. And then likely if we were to pursue this, what I would imagine our first year of going to 10 days would actually kind of be a soft opening. We would emphasize the carnival and event space on that initial Friday and Saturday night, and then de-emphasize Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Through a various means of a late start, having less activities, being easier on 4-H and livestock. If we do it well, the concessionaires and 4-H would see a reduction in impact and an opening of more time to manage what they need to do. But we're really thoughtful about not burdening everybody. There's a really easy out here, which is let's do 6 days really well.
Like, is there like full-throated desire to like extend to 10 days this year, or
It's
are
a mixed
people able
bag
to-
depending. Yeah, it's a mixed bag depending on who you talk to. There
Uh-huh.
there are a couple of our signature events, like the Lords of Dirt that we do on that Sunday, that would benefit from being separated from rodeo. And then there's these trickle down effects. If we had 10 days to work with, we would actually shift the number of nights of rodeo to being just that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, versus also trying to run a night on Tuesday night, which is the softest of our nights for rodeo. And what I'm trying to describe to you is that it's a pretty complicated algorithm, all these different pieces and parts. But we did hear from a number of concessionaires before the end of the 6 days this year, thumbs up, ready to go. We heard from some of the superintendents managing some of the display spaces that it's a lot to ask for volunteers and superintendents to watch the space for that long and to monitor that stuff. So there are some potential ways that we could soften some of the expectations for 4-H and some of the displays, like a floriculture display that's just not going to last for 10 days. We could imagine those coming on in the middle of the week like they traditionally do.
Mm-hmm. And what were you hearing, Dave?
What I was hearing was from the sentiment from at least some of the food vendors that they can, like the volunteers that staff their operations, can barely hang on with 6 days, let alone extending to 10.
So
Yeah,
commissioners,
that's what we were hearing from some of the concessionaires. That's their biggest concern. From the ones that see the highest volume, the Sons of Norway and to the Viking lovers out there, that it's a really long line every single day. But there are some really soft days where they have very light sales early in the day. So there could potentially be some ways to soften that midweek by having a late start, so that they maximize their sales during the peak hours in the evening without having to have staff attendance all day long. We don't have all those kinds of details sorted out yet, and we really are on the bubble here. Every time we look at it and we poke it around, we're not certain we want to go this way, but we're trending towards trying to get to 10 days, but consider do it softly the first try.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
so I was going to suggest, since the decision hasn't actually been made, this could be a budget amendment since it comes with revenue related to it, and you could defer this for now. And if the fair decides that, then they can come back as a budget
That
amendment.
feels much better.
Oh, yeah, how's that?
I'm trying to
feel
decide
you,
it
Andy?
now.
Give you guys a little bit of time to really come up with a recommendation, whether you want to do this or not.
Yeah, you bet. I appreciate that space.
I would avoid prematurely
Extending ourselves.
elevating people's anxiety. Yeah,
For sure.
Not sure.
Enthusiastic. We'll let the folks who are in on it with a recommendation.
Okay, so that brings us to the wood floor and then the operations manager.
So the wood floor is just $5,000
Yes.
a year.
And that's just to squirrel away money to do
So that
it
it can
be
when
correctly.
necessary.
Can
I
be
think we
finished
kind
in
of
4 or
have
5
to do
years.
that, don't we?
Well, there's probably lots of things that we should be
I was in
budgeting for.
I would say,
like
given
that.
your investment there, that yeah.
Yeah.
We've invested a lot. Randy, do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, you'll see it's a one-time expense right now of $29,300 to refinish sanding and get those floors up to par, but they take a lot of abuse. This is just a smart way to set aside a little money every year. We're going to have to refinish these floors every 4 to 5 years. This amount gives us plenty to do that with a little bit of increase. If we have to do it at 4 years, we'll have enough money to do that. If we can extend them a little longer, we can, but we're going to have to do this every 4 to 5 years.
So again, I'm trying to figure out the spreadsheet. So the 29.3 is over here on the left, but 25 is over here on the right.
So you're bringing one time and ongoing together there, Dave?
So the ongoing.
So the ongoing is its own sheet, and on mine anyway, right now, that ongoing is only 25,000, and he's saying it should be 5,000 in operation.
Oh, okay.
So you would just
5,000
cross the
a year.
two off.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I would say we do this.
Am I doing the right thing? Yes, okay, yeah.
5,000 a year. I think we should
Yes.
do this.
And then,
Okay,
yeah.
got
And then
it.
the next is the operations manager.
So this is just a $2,800 expense?
On operations, but the personnel is 114,
Oh.
121.
There's no
We
revenue
just can't-
associated.
We
And-
can't do it, yeah.
And I'd see that if you can't do this, then the 10 days doesn't happen. I'm just imagining. Could have.
Well, do we need
Making
to-
some
do we
assumptions
need-
there.
Is that the case, Randy?
Yeah, there's a connection to the 10-day, but not just the 10-day. The operations
Mhm.
manager is really an important role to support the growth of the fair and the trajectory that we're on. Not the fair, but the fairgrounds. With the other events year round and the growth of the facility, it sets us up really well to take everything on that's coming at us.
Is there going to be a
Well,
mutiny?
I mean, well, even if there is, can we,
We
can we,
can't afford it.
can we punt this to the 10-day? And even though recognizing this does
Right.
more than just expanding to a 10-day fair, if additional staffing is necessary for that, can we take that up at the same time as we decide to pull the trigger?
Would
on-
we have to do we'd have to do a budget amendment. That's okay. Right?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
you can. It's always challenging mid-year though, because yes, you could.
And on that note, not to complicate this, some of when it comes to the personnel side of things, the runway necessary for preparing for new personnel and onboarding and strategic planning for staffing in the future there is really independent from our decision around the 10-day.
Mhm.
And I do believe financially, we would look at trying to cover, if not all, the majority of this within the fairgrounds budget.
So right now it's in as a property tax increase because the fair special district does not have an ongoing 114 to 121.
Okay, that was declared. Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait or no this year and because we can't,
Budget amendment, it's a portion of the FT.
they're separate.
I guess I wasn't clear to the degree that they're separate.
Yeah, I mean, so you could do it as part of a budget amendment that challenges it's got to have a revenue source. So you could do it as a budget amendment that would spend one time for that year, but then you would be saying for the next year, you're increasing taxes to support that.
Yeah, I don't see.
And I can't imagine the 10-day happening without this.
But Randy was saying they are kind of separate, but the 10-day has to happen in order to pay for this.
Yeah,
Oh, Chet,
Yeah, just to add maybe one other thought, and I don't know if this was intended to come out of the district, Chris, or if it was in anticipation in terms of what Randy was describing, that we anticipated as we got better revenue numbers, that maybe in terms of what revenues were coming into the fairgrounds, that could cover this cost. One option could be to see, once we get past fair here a little bit, we've had the festival already. We've got some questions out there around the revenue generation that we might be able to hone in on, and we could have a future conversation around whether those revenues might be better suited to cover this request.
okay, so
Bracket this for now.
Bracket this
Yeah.
one.
So my guess is you're not going to have that by budgeted option. So I mean, yes,
no,
you can, but
so no for this year, and we're going to.
well, as I say, you could consider it as if they end up with revenue that's going to be ongoing, then you could consider it as a budget amendment. But they would have to have the revenue to support it,
But they would,
which they do not currently
right,
have projected in their budget.
Let's do that.
thank you.
Put it aside.
Okay, so now we're into parks, which is the first one is the scholarship contribution increase.
$5,000.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's do that.
we can do that.
And you have an increase to an FTE. That's an ongoing cost of 69,350.
To make a full FTE or? I'm
It's
sorry.
an increase of 0.3 of an FTE, which I believe would make it a full-time position from a current part-time position.
Say no.
We can't, unfortunately.
Okay, then you have a request for a full FTE, which is the open land specialist.
And also no, unfortunately.
And then we get into grants. So the first is a $10,000 increase to contracted services.
What is that again for?
I believe just as grants is being stood up and moving into their new structure, this is a request for them to have a line item. For
Melissa has her
contracted
hand up.
services.
Oh, thank you.
I don't see Melissa's hand up, but I believe you.
You did.
Yeah.
She does.
I was gonna say, it's just
Hello.
not showing up on here. Usually it pops people around when they raise their hand.
Hi, this would be to create a contracted services line item within our budget, and then it would be used, as Chris was mentioning, for professional services that we are not able to provide in-house. So when there's a technical application for an environmental grant, or we need to consult with engineers, right now we're writing grants to cover those services. And then as we move into a new space of providing grant support for all county departments, there are some overall communications needs that our internal comm staff are not able to meet. So that's what that is about. And while I'm online, I'm just moving ahead to the next item and just want to make a clarification that the request for that is for 1 FTE. That would be 0.5 this year and 1 FTE ongoing and not 2 FTE.
So sorry, Melissa, it's 0.5 this year and then it becomes 1 next year, or it's an additional 1? So it's a total of 1.5.
Total of 1. So 0.5 this year and becomes 1 in FY27.
So what would the ongoing, these numbers are correct?
Yes,
So
the numbers
happen-
are correct. It's just the description.
The numbers are correct for FY26.
Correct. So it's half, whatever the amount
Double
is there,
that.
is the ongoing.
Uh-huh, okay.
So FY27.
I guess going back to the 10,000. The question is if, Melissa, if you did not have this 10,000 line item, what's the, I guess, what won't get done?
Well, my priority with these budget requests is absolutely to get to a place where we have 1 dedicated FTE for internal grant services. So if I were to prioritize, this is not the highest priority. We will just continue to make do in-house for this year, if need be.
So we should do that.
But then how,
But
then
that's-
how can we do the
Yeah, I
the
don't,
second one?
I don't see us being able to do any of the FTEs, second or third.
There's
In
just
which
the-
case,
Oh, okay, the,
Administrative coordinated grant support.
wait, what's the third? And Melissa, can you explain the third again? Sorry, is that different than?
Sure, the ARPA grants administrator, is that the question?
No, the 0.75 FTE.
The 0.75. Okay, so that is for the new internal grant services division. So that is the piece of our work where we are starting to provide coordinated grant support to all county departments in an effort to bring in more external revenue. I do want to say also that part of the puzzle here is that we anticipate bringing in external administrative dollars in the next year that would almost completely cover one of these FTE. All of those applications are going to go in this fall. So that's one of the complexities of working in grants is we're projecting that, but the request for tax dollars has to be built in so that we can keep these people employed until those external admin dollars are coming in. So it is a request for tax dollars, but typically we request more every year than we need because we bring in external admin dollars after the budget is adopted.
So can we say yes to the second one? And hope that it's, and assume that it's,
I mean,
will be covered because that's what's happened in the past?
Well, you can, or you can fund it as a one-time request.
and then wait
And
and see
then,
on the revenue.
and
And then see if the revenue
is there.
Correct.
And so they, given that we're basically saying no to most everything else, and we're we would attempt to lean more into grants to cover future costs, we would need this little engine.
What do you think, Andrew?
My admin costs aren't that big a percentage of the recovery. It's gonna take a lot of admin costs to cover this salary.
And I'm gonna go back to what I was saying, even if we had to cover it initially for a while, if we're saying no to everything else, the way we're gonna move forward with new revenue anywhere else is gonna be through grants. And it would, I think we're asking, it would be in this position where we're working internally.
Melissa, how confident or realistic do you think it is that admin, kind of the skimming off the admin of these grants will cover this position that we're talking about?
I'm confident we have a very high success rate in obtaining CDBG grants through the state. And those are 3 of the 4 funding opportunities that we'll be applying for this fall. The 4th is an EPA Brownfields grant, which we have had success with 2 different times in the past. So right now we are in a period where the focus is on application and bringing in funding. There's always, the ups and downs with grants, but to answer the question, I am confident that we will be able to cover the costs associated with this new FTE through grants that we're bringing in and external admin that we're receiving. And also, as Josh is referring to, just in our ability to bring in more grant dollars to the county as a whole, which doesn't mean admin money to support the positions that I'm asking for, but does mean more support for priority projects and positions across the county.
Could you say that again? It's not admin that would support the position?
So with our internal grant services division, we are assisting other departments with bringing in grant funds. And if there's admin associated with those grant funds, it's not coming to us to support our positions. It would go to the departments in which those grants live.
Those other 4 types of grants would, according to Melissa, generate, and she feels confident enough admin to cover this. But I'm gonna lean back on that. If we're cutting off we're saying we're not gonna use tax revenue, which I understand now is not the year for that. Still hope to move forward in all kinds of parts of county government. We would want to give individual departments and our grants department the best tools they have to go hunt for that money, and it would be this.
So saying yes to this third one, but not the second one, or saying yes to
Yes to the second one, and
yes to this, I'm gonna say it, the administrative grant support 0.75 FTE.
Oh, is that
Oh.
6?
Yes, the coordinated grant support one. That's
the internal one?
That's the one I'm talking about. That's the one I would say we say yes to.
That would touch all county departments, but then,
Yes.
but Melissa's saying that she's confident that
It would that the admin generated from things like brownfields and CDBG, and there were a couple others, she feels
Yeah.
confident would cover the costs.
Okay, I was
So
thinking
And
about the
I'm
second
saying,
one.
even if the, I believe Melissa, I'm sure that she's right, it would work. And even if the general economic environment changed dramatically around grants and the admin didn't quite cover it, I still think it would be money well invested on our part, because other departments within the county would have increased capacity to go look for funding to do things like all the other things on this list.
Melissa, just to be clear, so of the two positions we're talking about, the two FTEs we're talking about, the 0.75 and then the other one, which would be, I guess, 0.5 this year and 1 the following year, which of those is the highest priority?
The highest priority is the 0.75, which would become 1, because that would do exactly as Josh is saying. It would bring in additional resources for the whole county. If we need to, do grant, what is the term for when you're hiring someone with grant funds? So it's temporarily hires that are associated with the availability of grant funding. We can do that if we get to a point in federal and state grants where we can't cover our administrative obligations because we have success with all the grants that I outlined. So we have some possibilities there. Basically, if I get 1 FTE, we'll figure it out, and the priority will be on freeing up 1 full FTE for the internal grant services. We will also apply for external funding, but then I feel like we would have some different hiring options in the future that wouldn't touch the county's budget.
If we go,
Okay, yeah.
if we go that route,
I feel like I'm talking too much on
we
this
do
one.
that and not the other FTE and not the contracted services.
Right, we just do
Yes.
the contract, the coordinated grant support, the 0.75 this year becomes 1 FTE going forward, and that does internal grants. Helps, works internally so other departments have better luck getting grant.
Were you gonna say something?
Oh, it's just, it jumps up to $124,000 after next year.
When it's a full FT. Yep.
We do it.
Agree, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So the next 2 are ones you've already agreed to. So that would be the grants ARPA administrator moving to full-time. You agreed to that last year. And so that comes onto the budget this year. So it's just reflected on here. And then the LAC lease is actually out of planning, development, and sustainability. So it's not in the general fund for property taxes. And that is where we're going to get to today because there is 1 minute left.
Oh,
So we will resume on Thursday, starting at PDS, climate action.
That's good.
thanks
Right here.
for
Thursday.
keeping
Thank
track.
you. Thank you all.
Oh, no, it's the next one.